It was in 1807 that Robert Fulton, for whom the street one block north of us is named, first launched a steamboat, a commercial venture in this city. Originally, that would travel from New York City up the Hudson to Albany, and that would allow people to travel faster than they had before, and that would allow a lot of commercial enterprises to begin and flourish. Steamboats would go on to transform this city, and in particular, our neighborhood, because they were so useful in so many kinds of business, including allowing people to travel even just across the East River from Brooklyn. And everyone was scrambling to have a faster boat, a bigger boat, the next boat. They were ubiquitous in New York for a time. And in the 1830s, there were so many of them, and so many were working hard to have more customers, more riders, and to grow wealthier from their faster ships, that people began to be, unsurprisingly, reckless, and accidents began to abound. It was in 1937 that one of the residents of this here fair city, a man named Philip Hone, who kept a diary all his life, faithfully keeping track and commenting on life in New York and for New Yorkers, wrote about steamboats. "We have become the most careless, reckless, headlong people on the face of the earth. Go ahead is our maxim and password. And we do go ahead with a vengeance, regardless of the consequences and indifferent to the value of human life. Go ahead. Go forward in pursuit of wealth and riches." That has been the maxim of New Yorkers from the very beginning, even back when we were New Amsterdammers, when this was originally a Dutch colony. It's the only of the colonies that was not founded on religious principles, but commercial principles. It's in our very origins. And at almost any point in our city's history, there have been people who come to New York and who write and comment about how headlong we are in pursuit of wealth. Lots of people come to this city for the very reason to become wealthy. And sometimes we do allow that to get in the way of other things. New York has a reputation for losing sight of the value of things beyond wealth. The pursuit of success defines so much for so many who live in this city even today. Perhaps it's exactly that kind of ethos that is addressed in the first letter to Timothy today. The first letter to Timothy is widely understood by scholars to be by an unknown author, written very late in the first century, or perhaps as late as early to mid second century. Early church tradition hoped that perhaps it was written by Paul, but scholarship now allows us to know that this is a word to the later life of the church than the church that Paul would have known. A church that was clearly struggling with those who wanted to go headlong in pursuit of wealth and riches. And usually what follows wealth and riches is not just possessions, but also power. And instead, this letter casts before those in the early church who struggled with what exactly they would be about, and casts before you and I, all these centuries later, an alternative option. That rather than pursue wealth and power, we might instead pursue righteousness godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. And in doing so, we might fight the good fight of faith. The translation known as the Unvarnished Translation offers this as a way to read this text. Seek after justice, reverence, and faith, love and endurance, and a gentle touch. Fight the good fight of faith. Reach for the everlasting life. Reach for the everlasting life. How much of that describes what you were about this week? It's really hard to keep those things before us sometimes in the world in which we live. We live in a world that has sanctified hustle culture, what so many call a gig economy, which is really about people just trying to survive. So many people we encounter in our daily life, so many people we know, so many of the people we love are struggling to get by. And life feels challenging and hard for a lot of people a lot of the time. We can easily forget that when life feels challenging and we feel like we're struggling. That the people we encounter maybe are having that very same experience. Most of us tend to think, if I just had a little more money, just a little more. It's not that I need even to be all that rich, but I need a little more. A lot of studies suggest that most of us think if we just had 20% more income than we do, that life would be easy. But life is not very easy these days, and much is challenging. And it's easy to think that the solution to that is to work a little harder, to strive a little more, to push on ahead just a bit, and maybe then things will feel simpler. And so we allow things like gentleness and kindness, things like godliness and faith and love to be put on the back burner for another time. When I feel like I have a little more bandwidth, when I feel like I have energy to attend to other things. When I feel like I have less anxiety and worry and fear, then maybe I will seek the gentle touch. So many of us feel like we're fighting for our lives. We're fighting to survive, that putting before ourselves an impulse to fight the good fight of faith feels like something that just might need to wait for a different day. A different day, a different time, some other moment. On my way to church this morning, I saw a sign there on Fulton that I've not seen before. I think it must be fairly new. And it says, "Shyness is stealing your life." Now, I have no idea what that's about or what it's advertising. But it really felt prescient to me because I sort of thought that's what my sermon is about this morning, about the ways we give our life away. But the ways we allow the things that don't matter to consume our time and our energy. what are you giving your resources to? And I'm only talking a very little bit about money when I say resources. What are you spending your time in pursuit of? Where is your energy being deployed? What do you intend to do with the words you speak? How are you using your resources? And are you giving away all the things that really matter because everything feels so hard? We're offered a different choice this morning. Fight the good fight of faith. That's hard to do. I know it's hard to imagine, I know, because so much of what we're about feels like survival right now. But knowing that your resources are limited, knowing that your time and your money and your energy and your words and your bandwidth are limited, remembering that you're in charge of how they are deployed, of where your focus goes, how will you use them, and what will you pursue by their deployment? Righteousness and godliness, faith, love, endurance, gentleness. See, the problem is, none of those are terribly profitable in my experience. We must shift what we want and stop thinking that money and power and prestige and possessions will save us, and begin to fathom what it might feel like if, rather than fighting for our survival, we fought the good fight of faith and put all that we have and all that we are into the work of the kingdom. Rather than believing we'll get to that when we feel more secure, rather than assuming that there will be time for that when we've achieved a measure of success and comfort and stability, what if we were to offer all of ourselves, including our anxiety and our worry, into a passion that sought after all the good for all the people? Bishop Asbury, who keeps an eye on his preachers from the back of the sanctuary here at John Street, was known to have said, "Sometimes when men become rich, they forget that they are Methodists. And very often in our time, I think it's easy to forget that we are Jesus' disciples. We are Christ's community. We are God's children, while we are pursuing security and believing there is out there possible for a life that's free from worry and anxiety. I don't know that you can ever have enough things so that you will be free from anxiety and worry. Now, I suspect that Jeff Bezos doesn't worry about all the same things I do. And perhaps having a yacht that's so large it needs its own yacht frees you from certain anxieties. But every single one of us walks this earth for a limited time, having limited resources. And all the money in the world doesn't change the fact that in this one life you have so much time, and so much energy, and so much opportunity to do good and to be good. Are you not just allowing your worries and your fears to steal your life? Are you, in fact, even just giving it away? Choosing to worry about all that could happen and not choosing to believe and hope and trust in all that God and you could make happen. When you think about what's possible, is that more about all the things that could go wrong? Or is it more about all the love and goodness and light and grace that you could bring into the world and into other people's encounters and experiences of the world? Because every single person you meet is walking around, living in this world, and most of us, at least some of the time, are struggling. And one of the things that's within your power to do is to have an impact on how they experience this world. That's one of your options, one of your choices, one of the opportunities that's set before you each day. What might it look like if you were to fight the good fight of faith, even knowing that it's a struggle, even knowing that you may not have all of the security you want or need or hope for, or that you would like to provide for the people you love, even knowing all that could go wrong? What would it be like to put yourself in a position where what you pursued above all else, what you sought above security, what you sought above wealth or privilege or power, what opportunities you sought were not about what good you could do for yourself, but about what good you could do for others? This is what it means to fight the good fight of faith, to put ourselves and our energy and our hopes and our expectations into the belief that good things can happen. And we are not consigned to a world that is only full of pain and worry and anxiety and strain. You can pursue security, or you can pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and a gentle touch. Imagine moving through this city with so many people who are just trying to get ahead and go ahead and have perhaps even forgotten the value of human life, who have perhaps even forgotten the value of their own life. With a gentle touch, Imagine what might shift for you and for everyone you encounter. J.R.R. Tolkien once wrote, "The world is indeed full of peril, and in it there are many dark places, but still, there is much that is fair. And though in all lands love is now mingled with grief, it grows perhaps the greater." Do you believe that there is still much that is fair in this world, in this city, in your life? And do you believe that love can coexist and be mingled with all of the fears and worries that we carry? If so, then you are in fact fighting the good fight of faith and are living a life that is really life. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.